Hey there, what's up? It's Johnny here, and I'm hanging out at one of my most favourite places where I live. This is the beautiful Zenith Beach, and I'm hanging out with one of my bestest buddies, Mr. Mailman, Brent Mail. How are you, mate? Welcome to the show, mate. It's good to see you. Good to see you. Hanging out in the good spot.
Thank you.
He wants to talk, and I've got the mic, so I'm sort of in control, which is not often how it is. It's not often how it is. I'm usually out of control. Anyway, welcome to the show, and we're here and we're talking about photography fundamentals, the essential skills you need to be an awesome photographer. And man, I've got a little story, but first, Bree, give me your 30-second Brent Mail roundup, mate. I'd love to people who don't know you, mate. Here's the mic. You can talk now.
Okay, hey guys, Brent Mail here, pro photographer. I've been a pro photographer for 16 years. Won a few awards on the way. Yeah. I know, because I made the switch when my son was born, and he's 16 now.
Oh, really?
So that's I know. Yeah.
Good, man. So that's a good place. Good reason to have kids, guys. So you've got a place marker in time, so you can just gauge everything off your kids. So.
Well, it changes everything when you have kids, don't you?
Yeah.
You totally change what you want to do. And I was doing engineering, and I'm like, nah, I want to do something creative. So I became a pro photographer. Anyway, that's me. I live in Australia. Grew up in South Africa. Lived in the States for a while, and now I'm on this beautiful beach with my good buddy Johnny here. And I've created a heap of courses, and I think we've got a special for you guys on one of my books that I've recently finished.
Yeah, so the thing I like about this book we're going to talk about before we get into the fundamentals, mate, is you've compacted like those 16 years of knowledge that you've got into something that's like, it's almost like the photographer's Bible of the essential things you need to know. And that's what I love about it, man. It's just, and there's so many brilliant pictures in there. Like, it gets me inspired every time I flip through it. And I even learn a thing or two, mate. So, you know, an old dog like me. So, mate, tell me where the inspiration for the book came from.
Well, this is the third edition of this book. So I wrote it about 10 years ago, the first edition, when I was creating my first few courses, you know, because something you need to know are the essentials. I mean, you can't be a great photographer without knowing the basics of photography. So it's the very first thing you need to know. And that's the first book that I created, the very first version. But for this version, it took me 5 years to recreate the book, the third edition of Essential Photography Skills. Inspiration came when I was in Fiji last year, winter. I was surfing in Fiji, and that's the cover. On the front cover of this book is an aerial shot of the reef in Fiji, the Coral Coast. And I was out with these guys surfing, and there was a young guy who had a new camera, or a second-hand camera, and he was taking pictures of us surfing, right? And we had a look at the images that night, and I looked at his images, and I spotted straight away what he was doing wrong. They were blurry, they were dark, and he just needed to learn one thing, and that was about shutter speed. He just needed to know that with a very long lens, because he was photographing from a boat which is moving up and down in the water, and you got surfers that are far away. You zoomed right in, very long lens. I think it was a 300 millimeter or something, and he was photographing at the wrong shutter speed. He was photographing at a slow shutter speed in comparison to the long lens he had, and most of the images were blurred because he's moving up and down. And I told him that night, I said, hey, why don't you try shooting at 3 times the focal length of your lens? So 300 millimeter lens, 3 times approximately 900 millimeters, 1,000th of a second, right? I said, shoot at that the next day, and also shoot in RAW, don't shoot in JPEG. And he tried that the next day, and wow, what a difference. So that's just one little thing that I suggested to him to change, and it totally changed his images for the whole trip. He would have got not so good images from the whole trip, and it's really expensive to go out to these reefs and surf all these things. And he was with his dad, he was photographing his dad and his dad's friends and everything, and us. So that's what gave me the inspiration to finish this book. I finished it in Fiji on that trip, and because I knew that it could help people like this youngster that was on the trip with me by just learning one little tip, and it can totally change his photography forever.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. What an inspirational story. Yeah, it's so true, man. I remember when I started, actually, I sent these guys an email the other day, mate, and I put a little story in it because I was so inspired by your book. I remember when I first started photography, I was like, yes, let's get out there. I'm going to shoot people, and I'm going to shoot landscapes, and I'm take photos of this and take photos of that. And I'd go out every day, man, day after day, taking photos, get home, put it on the computer, boom, just crap. Just absolute crap, you know. And it took me years and years and years to understand the fundamentals, the basics. You know, aperture, ISO, shutter speed, focus, you know, light, like all those composition, all those basic things that build the core of your photography skills. Like it took me years to learn because I didn't just go to one place and get all that information. I was going here and learning off this bloke and going over there watching this movie, and I was all over the place. It was, you know, so much trial and error. I remember, man, like it's just, you know, I sucked for a very long time, bro. But that's my own fault, man. And that's one thing that's why I really am super keen about this book, bro, is because it teaches you those basic level fundamentals that you can go out and then take photos of absolutely anything. Because you've got that basic understanding, you know. And you might be sitting back there going, oh, I've been shooting for 5 years, I know all about this. But I tell you what, man, there'll be something in the book that you'll pick up that'll change your photography. And that's what I love about it, man. That's why I'm so pumped about it.
Awesome. And something that's really close to my heart is inspiration. And I wanted this book to inspire people to go out and take photos. So I took the best images I've taken of 5 years of traveling. In the last 5 years, traveling all over the world. Actually, that's probably what took me the longest to actually finish this book, was going through all my images, finding really, really good examples that will illustrate a certain point that I'm making in the book. And I put them in there because I want to inspire you to go out and take photos too. And also something that I did, because I know a lot of people don't have time, they're busy, is at the end of each chapter, I've got a summary of just the key things you need to know to get the concept of that chapter. So the aperture chapter on aperture and depth of field, I've got the key things at the end of the chapter on shutter speed, on ISO, on composition, you know, all those things, so that you don't have to, you know, spend hours reading the whole book. You can just read the end of the chapters if you want to make sure you can, you know, get that concept and go out and take great photos.
That's cool, man. That's super awesome. That definitely saves your time, mate. And that's, you know, that's what we're all here to do. Not spend day after day going out shooting, not knowing what you're doing like I did. Crazy, bro. Man, I was going to say, like, you know, like if you had a key message for people who are out there who are struggling with their photography, like what is your key message? I mean, you've taught, I don't know, tens of thousands of photographers there how to take better photos, and that's not, you know, slapping you on the back and telling you how good a bloke you are. I just know all the courses you've done and what you've done to change people's photography and on their journey, you know, and the inspiration you've given them. Like if you had, like, you know, your key things that mean, you know, that you really inspire to instill in people, you know, with your photography and teaching people photography, what would that be, mate?
What I would say is don't compare yourself to other people. That's what I'm seeing all the time. I've got a little membership called Photo Bootcamp, and when you buy this course, you get an offer to get in there. I'll take it if you can. And the thing I see all the time is people comparing themselves to other people on Instagram or on Facebook or whatever, because you're seeing these amazing images on Instagram and Facebook, and when you go out and you take photos, maybe they're not the same, and you're constantly comparing yourself. I would say compare yourself to your previous self. Compare your images now to the images you took last year. Are you making progress? Great. Keep doing what you're doing. If you're not making progress, maybe you need to take a couple of courses.
Or get an ebook.
Well, yeah, or get this ebook. But don't compare yourself to the pros or Instagram heroes, because then you're just going to get disappointed and you're not going to go out and take photos.
That hit the nail on the head for me, because I've had this thing in my mind for a long time now. Like I just did a motivational video about, you know, motivation and inspiration and your photography goals last time. And the next thing, I get this thing in my head saying, just do you. So don't worry about anyone else, just be you, do you, and mate, and enjoy your photography journey. And that's what it's about, man, because I tell you, we're only here. It's only one life, man. We get to live, and if you live it stressed, particularly about something that's probably, you know, a hobby that you're super passionate about, last thing you want to be is stressed about it, mate. You just want to go out there and enjoy the experience. And, man, good advice, bro, good advice.
Yeah. And one more thing I wanted to say, guys, is once you know the basics, the fundamentals of photography, it becomes more of a creative journey when you're out there, because you are out there photographing something and you don't have to really think about the basics. You don't have to think about the tools that you're using. You get into like a flow state, they call it, where you in flow, the creative juices are flowing, and you're out there to create something that's in your mind, that no one else can see. It's purely you. And that's where you want to be, because that's when you get in the zone. That's when you live in the moment, and you're not worried about, hey, have I got the fast enough shutter speed, or what's my composition like, you know? And that to me is pure happiness. When you're in flow, when you're living in the moment, you're not living in the past or living for the future, and you are out there creating. Time tends to stand still, for me at least, and for a lot of other people. But you got to know your tools, and you got to know the basics to get into that zone.
If you're struggling with any of those fundamentals, those essential skills that you need, this book is going to help you with that and get you over the line. And then everything else we help you with in the future has just become second nature, man. And that's what you want it to be. You want it to be second nature, so that when you're out there, you're just enjoying what's in front of you. You're just living in the moment, enjoying what's in front of you, and not getting stressed about my shutter speed's not right, or my images are dark, or whatever the thing is, man, that's stressing you out, you know. So, man, super cool, bro. It's have you got anything else? Any last words, mate? Any final thing before I push you in the water?
The reason we're filming this on the beach, guys, is to hopefully inspire you to go out and capture perfect days like this. We could have filmed this in a studio with perfect lighting and perfect sound and everything, but we made it hard for ourselves. Why? Because look at this. It's, you know, the world around us is amazing, and you as a photographer, it's your job to go out there and capture it in a way that you see it, and then present it to other people, and hopefully inspire others to go do the same thing.
That's awesome, B. It's been great having you on the show, mate. It's been great catching up again. And we lead such busy lives these days. We don't catch up for coffee as much as we should, but it's been great, you know, introducing all these new people to you that might not know about you, and reminding everyone who knows about you that you're still there inspiring photographers. So it's been awesome, man.
Cool. Thank you for having me, John.
Yeah, awesome, guys. So that's it. That's the B-Man. That's the Brent Mail, the mailman. And we want you to go and have a look at this ebook, because I think it's something that's going to really help you with your photography. And what's super awesome is Brent has got 2 awesome bonuses there just for 3 coloured subscribers. One is your Tack Sharp Images little ebook, isn't it, mate?
Yes, I got recipe and mini cards as a bonus, and my Tack Sharp Images book, because I found that most people, especially the newbies that are out there, make a few key mistakes when it comes to taking sharp images, like that guy that was on the boat photographing us surfing. Yeah. And I've actually got his example as the very first Tack Sharp mistake that people make, and how to fix them. So check it out.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's such great value. All right, guys, so I'll put a link below this video, and I'd love to hear from you, as always, your comments, your feedback. You know, I love to get the love from you, just like we're sharing with you the love, and get out there, enjoy your photography journey, because I know, when you stop struggling with the basics, your journey is going to become that much more enjoyable, that much more easier. So, yeah, we're out of here, bro. Stay inspired, stay awesome, and we'll talk to you again soon. I'm out. Peace.